We wanted to know how ordinary Americans could save money and be more energy efficient in their kitchens. For answers, we went to the world-renowned Culinary Institute of America, where Chef David Kamen, a professor in culinary arts, gave us a cooking lesson.
Our resources are limited, our money is limited, but also our natural resources are limited. So we want to try to care as much as we can about those things. And there's a number of things that we do in the professional arena that we could also do at home. Because in the professional world, we've taken time to study where we can minimize our work and where we can maximize our efficiency. And we can apply those same principles that we do at work to what we do at home as well. In the restaurant world, our grocery truck comes only 2 or 3 times a week, and if we don't get it on that truck, then we don't have it. So we have to make sure that we always have everything. So at home, set yourself up a shopping list that has some prompts on there, so that you remember to look and see if you have enough aluminum foil, vegetable oil, paper towels, that kind of stuff, before you realize that it's out and you have to run out and grab some more in the middle of your work. So the way you set up your station is very important from efficiency also. You think about how you can minimize steps. Set yourself up in a way that's logical as far as your workflow goes. All of your raw ingredients in one spot, some containers to put all the pieces and parts that you're going to work on, all of your tools in another spot, so that you can do all the things that you have to do without moving or looking around for things. Well, with broccoli, for example, you can get the most out of broccoli. Many people would take broccoli and they'd cut off the tops and they'd cook those tops, and they'd take this and they'd throw that in the garbage. But these are just as valuable as the tops are. You can do so many different things with the stems. A very common restaurant trick for the stems is to take it and turn it into broccoli soup. Now, you might not want to have broccoli soup every day for so much time, so there's other things you can do with it. We can trim off some of these leaves, and we'll just put those aside. And then with a vegetable peeler, we can take away some of the fibrous, veiny outsides and trim this down nice. And then what we have left is something that you can do any one of a number of things with. We can take this and we can cut it and use it in a stir fry. We can take it and even use it as a raw vegetable, the same way you might eat carrot sticks or celery sticks. If we took these guys and cut them up, we can do a number of things. So these guys here, this stuff is very stringy. You probably wouldn't want to use that for much, but now that we have our inside nice and clean, we can take it and we can slice it on the bias, and that would make a very nice stir fry. Or you could take it even and cut it into a larger piece, into more of a square, a nice stick. And what I might even do with these is, at the same time I'm going to boil these guys, I can boil these as well, and I can serve them. So now I have some florets, and I have some sticks, and I have some different shapes, and I have some different textures, and I have a lot less broccoli going in the garbage. So we've pretty much, when you look at it, we've pretty much doubled the amount of vegetables that we can eat, or kind of cut the cost of our vegetables in half, if you want to think about it like that, if you think about how much we pay for, how much we throw away, and then what we have left at the end of the day. So we also have carrots, and a very common thing to do with carrots is people will peel their carrots, and they'll take the peels, and they'll just throw them in the garbage. If you wash the carrots very well, then there's nothing wrong with these peels. So you've got your carrot peeled, you can cut that any way you want. What are you going to do with this? Well, this can go into a stock pot. You can make a pot of vegetable stock or vegetable broth, or if you're making your own chicken stock, you can use this. Or even if you're going to buy chicken stock in the supermarket, you can add a little bit more water to that chicken stock, add some vegetable trimmings, whether they be a carrot trimming or maybe an onion skin. If you scrub the onions real well, you can add some onion skin inside there, and that will fortify the flavor of the stock that you're buying. A lot of people think that the onion skin is just garbage, but there's so much flavor inside there. What the onion skin is essentially dried onion. And whenever you dry something, you concentrate the flavor. Think about a raisin as a dry grape. So as long as you wash the onion very well, you want to take off this little stump over here. That's fine. That can go in the trash. But then when you peel your onion, all this brown stuff over here will give you some very nice flavor in your soup pot. Also some color, and people always associate flavor with color. So there's no reason why, as long as you rinse the onion fairly well get all the dirt off, there's no reason why you couldn't use this as well. A lot of people buy chicken already cut up in a package, mostly because they don't know how to cut it up themselves, and it's actually very easy to cut it up themselves if you know a little bit about the parts of a chicken and where things are. And the good news is that all birds have the same structure. So whether you're cutting a chicken or a duck or a Thanksgiving turkey or a quail or a pheasant, it all kind of works out the same way. So really what you need to know is we start off with the leg. If you pull the leg out, you can see a little spot where the meat kind of goes down and up, and right in that little spot is where we're going to cut. So you just take your knife and cut right through the skin, pull the leg back, and you see the hip joint pop out, and you can just cut it right down from there, and that's where the leg comes off. Same thing on the second side. Pull the leg out, there's your little spot, cut through the skin in that spot, bend it back, the leg joint pops out, and you're just going to cut right down in that spot. Now once you've got the legs off, you have to separate them out into the thigh and the drumstick. If you go in the inside, you can see a little yellow line. If you look closely at the little yellow line, it says on there, cut here. We're going to go right on that little yellow line, cut straight down, and your knife should slip right through the joint. And that's all it takes. Same thing on the other side. There's a little yellow line. Go right down that little yellow line, and your knife goes right through. I'm not pushing, I'm not chopping, it's just that easy. And there's our legs. Now for the rest of the bird, what we're going to do is bend the wing back, and we're going to make a small cut right underneath the armpit, and you can see the joint just rolls right out. Fold the wing back, put your knife right underneath the armpit there, and the wing just rolls right out. And there's some nice little chicken wings that we can put on our grill or put some nice hot sauce on. Now for the breast, what we're going to do is we're going to remove the neck here. So if we start like this, and we're going to put our knife right down on either side of the neck like that. Right down one side and right down the other side. The neck comes off, and this is not garbage. This is all good stuff for your stock pot or for making a soup. So we're going to save that. That's like some bonus things that you don't get out of your package of already cut up chickens. Then we can take our knife and we can cut right through pretty much the breastbone. Okay, and there's our chicken cut into 8 pieces, or an 8-way sometimes we call that. And if these pieces are still too big, you can cut the chicken breast in half. If you want to have some smaller pieces that are going to cut very evenly, the bones are very soft, and if you just cut through the meat down to the bone, put your hand right on top and just lean on it, you go right through. And that's how we cut a chicken. A lot of people don't realize how much more they're spending on chicken parts than they would on the whole chicken. So a package of pre-cut chicken parts costs $1.39 a pound. You can get a whole chicken for less than $1 a pound. That makes a 40-cent a pound difference. And on a 3 or 4 pound bird, that could be as much as $1.30 or $1.40 that you're paying more. That's a whole pound of chicken that you're paying for that you're not getting when you have somebody else do it when you can do it yourself. The other thing about purchasing parts versus purchasing a whole bird is when you buy the whole bird, the bird is wrapped in a plastic bag, and that's really all you have to deal with and all you have to throw out. The chicken parts themselves come in this styrofoam tray. There you have a little diaper inside there that absorbs liquid. That has to get thrown away. So there's a lot more waste. It's a lot less environmentally sound when you think about where all the styrofoam eventually winds up. The other thing that we have to be very careful about supermarket chicken these days is some chicken manufacturers have additives to their chicken now, and you need to read the package and make sure of what's going inside there. You could be buying as much as 15% added water, salt, and sodium phosphate inside your chicken these days, which is kind of scary if you ask me, that we have to actually read the ingredients list on our chicken before we actually buy them. There's a number of ways people can save energy and time even at the stovetop, and one of those ways is with rice. Many people, when they cook rice, will bring water to a boil, add the rice to the water, and let it continue to cook for a time. The best way to cook rice is to put the rice inside the water, bring it to a boil. We're going to turn the heat off, cover it, and just let it sit. And what will happen there is the rice will absorb water, and it will cook very evenly. It doesn't take any more energy because you're not continuously heating up that pot for another 20 minutes. A lot of people think when they cook eggs that they should bring the water to a boil first then add the eggs and let it continue to boil for as much as 10 minutes. That's just a waste of energy. You don't need to have that much gas or electricity going into your eggs for so much time. The best way to cook eggs is to take your eggs and put them right into a pot of cool water. The eggs don't even have to be cold. You can let the eggs sit out at room temperature for a few minutes. When you put a cold egg into cold water, it's just going to take that much longer to cook and come up to temperature. If you let the eggs sit out at room temperature for 10 or 15 minutes, there's nothing wrong with that. There's no food safety issues about that, but they will take a little bit less time to cook, therefore less energy to cook. They'll cook a little bit more evenly. You want to make sure that when you put the eggs in, you have just enough water to cover the eggs. Too much water is too much water that has to get hot and takes more energy to heat up that much water, and that's going to also change the way your eggs cook inside there. Not enough water inside the pot, and there's not going to be enough energy in there to cook your eggs all the way through. If you do turn the pot off and let it sit there, if you don't have enough water inside the pot, then you don't have enough residual heat to cook the eggs all the way. Pasta is a very easy meal to make. It's inexpensive and it fills you up, it gives you a lot of energy, but it also takes a lot of energy to make. You think about a pot to cook the sauce in, a pot to cook the pasta in, all the energy it takes to bring water to a boil. Pasta is one of those things that you really have to put into boiling water, otherwise it just doesn't cook right. But even here, you can maximize a lot of your time. When I cook at home, I practice something that I call cook once, eat twice, or even 3 or 4 times. So I'll make a big pot of spaghetti sauce, and then I'll take that spaghetti sauce and I'll portion it out into bags that I can seal up, and I'll put this in the freezer. And when I'm ready for it, I'll basically take it out, and I'll just put the whole bag right into my pot of boiling water. Then when the sauce is done, when the sauce is hot, I'll go ahead and take the sauce out, put it in a little bowl over here, and I'll take it out of the bag a little bit later on, and then I'll take my spaghetti, pop it into the same pot, and let it cook in the same water. So same water, less time, less energy, less water usage, and a really good dinner on top of that. One great way to save energy at home is to cool down your food or pre-chill your food before you put it in the refrigerator. A lot of people have leftovers, leftover soup or leftover sauces or leftover dinner, and they'll just take that hot food and put it right into the refrigerator. And what happens then is the refrigerator has to work harder to cool the food down. The hot food heats up the refrigerator, putting all the rest of the food inside there in jeopardy. So to avoid this, one of the things you can do is pre-cool your food. So here we have some leftover tomato sauce, and it's sitting in a bowl of cold water, some ice water with some ice cubes inside there. And what we want to do is just want to stir this around a little bit, just until it's no longer hot. That way when we put it in the refrigerator temperature doesn't rise, the refrigerator doesn't have to work so hard to cool down anymore, and it prevents your food from spoiling. Another way you can save energy at the stovetop and also save a little bit of money also is by batch cooking your vegetables. One big pot of boiling salted water and several different vegetables can be cooked. First we'll cook our broccoli, so we'll drop some broccoli inside there, and when the broccoli is finished cooking we'll take the broccoli out, and then maybe we'll cook our carrots in the same water. And then when the carrots are done we can go ahead and add in something else, maybe some corn or something like that. So we're cooking in the same water, we're not reusing the water, we're not replacing the water, and we're not having to have several pots of water being heated up. And at the same time, we're also making a very flavorful vegetable stock. This is one of the many techniques that we teach here in a class that we run called Culinary Bootcamp Basic Training. The point of learning basic skills as opposed to getting a lot of recipes is that once you learn a skill, you can apply those skills in a number of different situations. A recipe will teach you how to make a dish. Learning a skill like sautéing or cutting a chicken will allow you to make many dishes. Give a man a fish, he'll eat tonight. Teach a man to fish, he'll eat forever.